Dear Lord, I know I'm always asking for something, but they say, ask and you shall receive. So I'm begging you, give me a voice so I can do this show. This is Still Here, Still Queer Now What, the podcast. I'm Dr. Paul Taylor-Pitt, the author of Still Here, Still Queer Now What, the book, coming everywhere 21st of October. Happy Pride, London. I think my voice is a testament to how wonderful Pride was. My glasses are because I want to look at the world through the lens of love, and also because I look tired as fuck. Yeah, Pride Month is over. Long live Pride Month. It was Pride in London on Saturday, and what a wonderful day it was. I think, I mean, I don't know if I have any scientific proof for this, but I think I blew my whistle, and that's not a euphemism. I blew my whistle so much, I had no voice by the evening, and then kept going, courtesy of my friend Steve, who insisted I go out, and I got home in the wee small hours of the morning. So yeah, my voice is gone, but in a way it's quite nice. Like, I feel like I could do an advert for a aftershave. Regret, but no, absolutely no regrets from Pride. I was in the parade with QUEERWELL, which is the charity that I do some work with. You'll have met Tim Spoor on a previous podcast. Tim is the chief executive of QUEERWELL. We were like this beam of sunshine walking through the streets of London on a very sunny day. QUEERWELL has these amazing yellow t-shirts, and we marched together. We rocked it. We were quite near the front of the parade, so we were early in starting and early in finishing, which meant I could then watch the rest of the parade, which is where I continued to lose my voice by shouting words of encouragement. Pride in London is just incredible. I never take it for granted. And it always reminds me that pride is joy. Pride is power. When you're walking through the streets and non-stop for the entire march, people are cheering. For me, it just shows London at its best. I know that Pride also brings out the worst of the worst in people, but I have no time for them. I have no space for their misery when Pride is so joyful. So I had such a wonderful time marching with QUEERWELL. We got an incredible response from the crowd, and it was incredibly powerful to walk all together. We were there as a collective, being visible and present to the fact that in our community, many people go through mental health challenges, and QUEERWELL is there as a community space. It's by the community, it's for the community, and we were there to make sure people know that we are there and that we can be useful and we can be a place of sanctuary and quiet if that's what's needed, or talking if that's what's needed. So thank you to Tim and everyone who arranged it. I was very excited to meet Sandi, who's one of the patrons of QUEERWELL and has been a presence in my life since childhood. I grew up watching Number 73. I loved watching that. I loved Sandi. And at one point I ended up as an adult going to her wedding at the South Bank Centre. She did a public wedding when she and her wife were finally able to get married. The London Gay Men's Chorus performed. Sheila Hancock did a reading. It was just the most, I think I cried all the way through. It was wonderful. So it was great to meet Sandi in person. She was very much in demand, but she was incredibly gracious to give people her time. I also got to meet Zack, the Green Party leader, which was very exciting for me. I'm a big fan of Zack. I'm a big fan of the Green Party. I became a Green Party member when Zack began to show me that something alternative was possible. And I was very humbled to meet him, very excited to meet him. He did that wonderful thing of, when I went over and introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Paul, it's really nice to mean you." And he said, "Hi, I'm Zack." And I was like, "Yeah, I know who you are." But it was very human, very genuine. And I mean, obviously I should never be trusted with famous people or public figures. I think the last thing I said to him as I walked away was, "Please run the country," and then just kind of disappeared off. So I think he said, "I'm trying." So yeah, well done London, well done Pride. There is so much toxic waste out there in our atmosphere at the moment. Pride is like an antidote to that. It's like a fumigator for the cultural mess that we're in. And I am so, so happy to have been part of that. Pride Month in general was great. I went to so many events, book launches, talks. You know, it feels like it tops up my battery for the rest of the year. Because, yeah, Pride might be a month or a day, but for many of us, Pride is every single minute of every single day. We do not go back to taking down the Pride flags just because it's the end of Pride Month. So that was Pride, and hence my voice, which hopefully will last for a few more minutes as I just give you a few more updates. I'm just back from a writing retreat in Barcelona, which is one that I've been on a few times. And for the last couple of years, I've also been part of the teaching faculty, which is such a joy. I get to work one-to-one with people who've come there to do some life writing, offer some coaching, offer a bit of teaching during the week. And then also I have a lot of time to go and write. And I wrote some stuff which I wasn't expecting to write, and I'm not really sure what to do with it, but I'm thinking about where it might go. I worked out a lot of stuff. I was very lucky to be on that retreat, and if you saw the video of it, you'll have seen how beautiful it was. I went walking in the forest and did some writing. I recorded myself just talking out loud, wrote a few thousand words while I was in the power of nature. So yeah, who knows what will come out of that retreat? Keep your fingers crossed. If you fancy doing that, send me some good vibes so that I can maybe alchemize those words into something interesting. In terms of the book itself, Still Here, Still Queer, Now What? It was also a very exciting week because I had to meet a deadline of giving the feedback on the final proof copy of the book, which I avoided for a little while, if I'm honest, because I had a document from my publisher that said, you know, here's a list of things we need you to check. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I can face that. Can I take any more feedback? And so I obviously left it till the last minute. And then I opened the document and there were 3 queries, and 2 of them were to do with the acknowledgements. So that was wonderful news. And then as I went through the book myself, there were a few minor corrections, but mostly it was because of the delay from the previous publisher, the fact that it's happening a year later. I had to just update lots of numbers. When I had said, I'm 51, I had to go through and say, I'm 52. Or if I'd made references to the length of time. So pro tip for writers from an amateur about to become a pro, don't mention numbers, because you just have to go back and change them. But yeah, that was very exciting. So I sent my feedback back to the publisher. They came back the next day and said, all changes accepted, and the book is going to start going to print on the 22nd of July, which is wonderful news. They also asked if I would be interested in possibly narrating the audio version. And I love audiobooks. I've listened to so many over the years. I'm very excited to just have downloaded the latest David Sedaris book. With a writer like David Sedaris, I always love listening to the reader read it rather than me reading it, because I think his voice is so wonderful. I think it's the same for biographies. Or autobiographies. I love listening to people tell their own story in their own words. And fiction, now and again, I get really immersed in. At the moment, I'm listening to Feast by Catherine Kurtz, which is a wonderful book by an amazing writer. I can't remember if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I was struggling to find time to read because I had so much to do. And so I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to download the audiobook and I can listen while I'm walking to the gym or on a plane. And so I'm deep into Feast, and it is incredible. It's a story of a young girl who grows up with this incredible sense of taste and smell, and she can use it to detect all kinds of things that other people can't. So yeah, great recommendation. Feast by Catherine Kurtz. Anyway, going slightly off topic, as I do when I'm tired. Yes, the publisher asked if I might be interested in narrating the book, and I said, absolutely. What a dream that would be. And so in a couple of weeks, I'm going in to do a vocal audition. I hope it's just me reading my book, because I have no range. I'm not an actor. And they did say that if I didn't want to read it myself, then they would look at auditioning actors to do the narration. But I would quite like to read it because so much of it is my story. I'm very glad that the audition is not tomorrow, because I would not get through. Or maybe I would. Maybe this would be the voice I would narrate my book. Although it's probably better for narrating a 0898 number. So yeah, doing that in a couple of weeks, and we'll hopefully get the thumbs up that I might be able to read my book, and then you can listen to it in your ears as well. So stay tuned for that. Fingers crossed. A couple of cultural moments lately, obviously apart from Pride. Dan and I went to Manchester last week to see Robyn perform, because I knew I was going to be away when she was performing in London. And I've wanted to see Robyn perform for decades. I think Robyn is an artist who has such a singular point of view and perspective about who she is. And she did not disappoint. It was an incredible concert. She has an amazing presence. She is powerful. She is celebratory of herself. And obviously has a bunch of banging tunes. So that was very exciting. And then obviously big moment in the gay diary, the launch of Confessions 2 by Madonna. Despite the fact I don't have a CD player anymore, I have this amazing deluxe version of the CD. And despite the fact I don't have a record player, I got this album version. And so I'm not really sure what to do with them. I don't just want to keep them in their wrapper because, the whole point of these things is to be enjoyed. So who knows, maybe I will be buying myself a record player. It's beautiful. It's a work of art, which I think is, the packaging is just as important as the product, but in this case, the product is stunning. I would love to give you my view on Confessions 2. I don't know if today's the day to do that, because I think I would probably talk about it for hours and then I'll just destroy my voice. So maybe that's going to be a bonus episode. For those who are interested, a track-by-track rundown of Confessions 2. But to give you the TLDR, or too long didn't listen version, TLDL, banger after banger, beautiful, ethereal, spiritual, incredible. I was blown away. I didn't have quite low expectations. I guess maybe I was managing my expectations, because the last 3 Madonna albums have been patchy in a lot of ways. Although Justice for Madam X, I did think Madam X was a good album. It was just very different. The previous 2 had been a bit of a mess, both in terms of how they entered the world and leaks and just a very weird non-Madonna kind of way. Whereas Confessions 2 has been Madonna's back in charge and this is how we're doing it. So on the bonus, I will go into all of the launch stuff. I talked a bit about it with Alexis on the previous podcast. And obviously, thank you to Alexis for doing that, for indulging me. And thanks for everyone who got in touch and said they enjoyed the episode as well. So look out for that. I think I will do one. I would love to do. I know I'm not a music critic. I will be coming at it from the perspective of someone who has the musical taste of a 14-year-old, but I will be approaching it with the ear of a listening fan / critic. So be excited for that. Other things, just a few little housekeeping bits of admin. If you sign up to the mailing list for the book at stillherestillqueernowwhat.com, you'll be updated when we start getting some dates confirmed for the book tour. We have a number of bookshops and venues who have said yes, and so we're working out some dates. If you sign up to the mailing list, you'll be the first one to get them. And you also get a lovely newsletter. We have a newsletter and you'll see words rather than just a voice. I also launched my Substack because, that's groundbreaking. Writer has Substack. But there's a couple of pieces on there already. There's one that I wrote as a review of the launch I did with Layla McKay for her book, The Queer Bookshelf. And then I've just published a piece that I wrote about procrastination as a writer. That was part 1. Part 2 is coming out this week. So yeah, join my Substack. Do you join a Substack? Do you follow a Substack? Do you subscribe to a Substack? That's hard to say with a dodgy voice. So yeah, mailing list, Substack, obviously following on all the socials. This week on the podcast, my guest on Wednesday will be the absolutely, I wouldn't say delightful. I don't think delightful is powerful enough, although delightful is a nice word. I want to say delightfully delicious Dr. Avi Ben-Zeev. Avi is a friend of mine. We go to the same writing group and he's also a published author. His book, Calling My Dead Name Home, came out last year. It was shortlisted for the Polaris Prize. And if you were following along the slow motion. Well, it wasn't even a slow motion car crash of the Polaris Prize. It was a high speed chase followed by smashing into a wall. Avi was the only trans author on the long list for the Polaris Prize. And the prize was, I don't want to say the word cancelled because that's such a hackneyed word, but the prize was withdrawn because there was a lot of disagreement about whether author with gender critical and transphobic views should be allowed on the long list. Sadly, Avi was a victim of that. And although he decided that he wasn't going to withdraw his nomination, the prize was then cancelled. So we talk a lot about it because Avi and I haven't really talked about it much. And also, I wanted to give him the space to talk about it so other people could listen to, you know, the voice of a trans author who was at the center of a lot of conversation, but as I discovered, no one actually spoke to Avi about it. And I think that's an incredibly telling moment for when it comes to how we talk a lot about trans people and don't talk enough to trans people and with trans people. We certainly don't listen enough. So look forward to that on Wednesday. And who knows? I mean, my voice will be back then because we've already recorded it. Spoiler, sorry, they're not all live. But for now, we are coming up to almost the 10-minute mark. And so I'm going to put a sign around my neck that says on vocal rest, which might make people think I'm, you know, an interesting artist. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this loyal, wonderful group of people who make me feel so happy that you are still here. And maybe still queer, maybe not, maybe still straight, maybe something else. But thank you. I am signing off. Why can't I just say goodbye? Why can't I just stop? I obviously feel like there's something else that has been unsaid, but actually I need to just stop. So goodbye. Thank you. Love you.